Hello and welcome to Somerset News Network personal comment by me, Ian Summerall. The High Court met this morning, the Supreme Court, and decided that the prorogation of Parliament was illegal by Boris Johnson. So Boris didn't have the legal right to close down Parliament. But Parliament would have been closed this time of year anyway for the conference season. Boris only prorogued Parliament by an extra 4 days. That's the first thing I want to say. Boris did not, at the time of provoking Parliament, break the law. It was only deemed illegal after the High Court had ruled. The lower court, the High Court, said that the Miller case, that they wouldn't get involved in political matters. The High Court had two judgments, one from the Scottish Court and one from the High Court in England. High Court in England said they don't want to get involved in politics. High Court in Scotland said that it was illegal. Now 11 judges sat, which made it quite good, because there's only 12 of them anyway in the High Court. In the Supreme Court, I should say. At the time that Boris made it, or made the decision to prorogue Parliament, it was not illegal. Although it was illegal afterwards because the court case said it. Now, should Boris resign? No, I don't think so. Boris is in a no-win situation. Boris has been given the mandate from the Conservative Party to lead the party to deliver Brexit. That's what he stood on when he stood for election as leader of the Conservative Party. The referendum, 17.4 million of us voted to leave the EU, so he's got the people's vote behind him. Unfortunately, our Parliament have decided that they know best. Number of Conservative MPs have gone over to the other side, which I call the dark side of the force. Yes, the evil dark side of the force within Parliament. A number of MPs have been deselected because they didn't support the government. If that's wrong or right, I'm not going to get into that. What I don't like is MPs saying that they were elected to represent the people in Parliament. But the problem is they are not representing the people. They stood on a manifesto to deliver Brexit. And Salisbury, for one. There's a couple of Labour MPs. And they stood on a manifesto to deliver Brexit. They don't agree with Brexit. That's fair enough. That's their decision. But they still stood and got elected on that manifesto. They've now totally done a 180 and decided that they don't want to leave the EU and they don't want a Brexit and they want to kill it at any cost. Now, should they still be standing and should they have had a by-election? I think the answer is yes. Because what they are doing in Parliament is not what they said they would do when they were elected. I think morally it's wrong. Legally they can still stay there because they were still elected. But morally, wow. Morally they should go back to the people and say, look, this is where I stand now. Do you still support me? What's going to happen? I made a prediction this morning. First thing, 6 o'clock this morning, I made a prediction. I said that the court would rule that the closing down of Parliament was unlawful, and that Parliament would be recalled this week, which has happened. So that's 2 out of 5, not bad. I then said that Boris, when he comes back, will try and call for another election. That will be rejected by the Labour Party. Corbyn said he wanted an election in his address to his conference this morning. Boris will give him that chance. So Parliament will reject the decision. They will try and force Boris to resign. Parliament will then elect an interim leader until an election. That the next leading party is the Labour Party, which means it would be Corbyn. But there's talk by MPs that they want a caretaker Prime Minister. So they're talking about Labour backbenchers, not Jeremy Corbyn. The Labour Party don't want Corbyn in number 10. You can't make this up. What a way to run a country. Boris has the will of the people that voted in the referendum. They say, oh, it's 3 years on. People who were 15 are now 18 and coming up to vote didn't have a vote in the referendum. No, it's the way it works. In an election, you don't stop a parliament halfway through and say, oh, we've been going for 2.5 years. People that were 16 didn't vote for this government, therefore we need another election. You have a vote and you have a ruling and you have a winner, and the referendum voted to leave the EU. Full stop. That's all there is to it. Our MPs no longer represent the people, and there should be an election. It's the only way out of it now. We have to have an election, and it is up to us, the people, to decide. And it's up to the people to decide to vote in my opinion, and my advice is to vote in Tory MPs who are pro-Brexit. That's the ERG people. And there's a few on the Labour side as well who will vote for a Brexit and even a no deal if that's the case. Or Brexit Party. I don't think the Brexit Party will win an election to form a government, but I do think they would hold the balance of power. So we want a good election for the Conservatives, much like they got now, but a good showing for the Brexit Party. Brexit Party backing up the Conservatives, then we get a Brexit. We cannot trust this government as it is. The Parliament, we cannot trust Parliament as it is. Parliament has not been elected to destroy Brexit. No MP has been elected to destroy Brexit. But that is what they're trying to do. That's the whole plan. Is it secret organisations behind this? Is it the EU behind this? Is it big banks, people like Soros or JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs? We've got Tony Blair in the background. He's got 150 staff working for it. That's what they're reporting. And he's being helped by Mandelson. Are they controlling all this from behind the scenes? Who's really running our MPs? Because they're not doing it for the people. If they were doing it for the people, they would uphold the referendum. That's all there is to it. So Parliament is not representative of the people anymore. Let's have an election. Let's go back tomorrow. Boris to call an election. Labour to stand up on their manifesto. They got one now. They're in conference at the moment deciding what they're going to do. Oh yeah, I did a video last time, didn't I? You don't know where the Labour Party stands. They want to renegotiate the deal, then put that to a referendum, and they will campaign against the deal. You can't make it up. It's craziness. So how can you let them run a government? At least Boris is talking sense. Boris is talking like a Brexiteer. He's trying. He's trying to do the will of the people. So let's call an election. Let's get the Tory Brexiteers in and the Brexit Party in, and let's get rid of these communists, because it is communism. The Labour Party have now voted in their conference to have, or let me say, it's an aspiration of their shadow chancellor to have regional banks. Now, the EU want England to be regions. So those regions will now be banked by the Labour Party, which will be the regional funds that we get from the EU now, which is our money to start with because we give it to the EU and we're a net contributor to the EU. It costs us 13 billion a year to be a member of the EU. We get back 4 billion. So net cost to the UK as membership of the EU costs us 9 billion. The Labour Party are talking about billions to help small businesses. They're talking about billions for the NHS. It's all well and good, but where is the money going to come from? If we're still in the EU, we will not have the money to put through a Labour manifesto. The best thing the Labour Party can do is come out of the EU, save us 9 billion a year, and use that for their programme. It's contradicting themselves. And did you know that the budget that they put through every year is got to be okayed by the EU before our Parliament see it? So if there's any change in British taxation or rules or tax on fuel, tobacco, etc., the EU know about it before we do. That gives them a chance to do insider trading. And as the EU has not been audited for 15 years that I know of, how can we trust them? Anyway, this is Ian signing off. Interesting times we live in.